Now, so next thing is what we need to. I was trying to talk about what building a model with multiple domains, right? So that is what was and how to build it. All that we have discussed. Yeah? So let me try to log on to what to a server. Yeah, we are in now. So this is a customer ORS, right? Now the next thing is going to be what we need to start getting into the data flow process. So that's where I was trying to answer questions like can we violate? Answer is no. We need to follow the same data flow process. So let me open that where the first and foremost thing within the data flow process is going to be what we need to create what landing table. Yeah? So that is going to be the starting point. Yeah? So let us start doing that. Yeah? So this is what we need to do. Yeah? So let us follow blindly this data flow. Yeah? And then acquire a lock. Yeah? So go to schema manager. Within that we have what landing tables section and create a landing table. Yeah? Oh, so let us try to bring this guy up again because we are trying to come through what parent, right? Let us open this browser. Oh, there's a connectivity problem. Let us restart. So because it's always resetting. So every time we don't need to come through what browser. Instead what we could do is there is a shortcut here. Yeah? So which we can create and always open that. This is a command we need to issue to bring up the server. Yeah? So let it come up. Meantime, I will talk about what other theoretical points, like why do we need MDM hub, especially Informatica MDM hub. Yeah. So first and foremost thing is what integrated meaning what? We can get data from any number of sources and integrate and create what? A good data, which is going to be the master data. Yeah? That's one thing. Plus, we also have integration of this MDM hub with third-party tools. So we have a built-in interface through which we can integrate what the MDM hub with the external applications, or from source to what MDM hub also we can make what external systems to talk to what hub. Yeah? That's the first thing. And second bullet point is what? It is a model driven. So this any data warehousing, right, tool, if you take, right, everything is what is going to be model driven, which means what? We are going to build a data model, and once you build a data model, in order to create good data based on that particular data model, then we use what model. Yeah? So which means what? First and foremost thing is what? Model. That's what we need to do. We have done it just now, right? Now the next bullet point is what? Flexible. Compared to other MDM tools, this particular Informatica MDM is what? Flexible MDM tool, because as we discussed in the earlier session or in the previous day session, that this particular Informatica MDM supports what? Multiple architectural styles, like we have link style, merge style and registry style. These are the supported architecture styles of Informatica MDM. So that is why we use a term flexible, which means what? We can use either what? Link style or merge style or registry style for what? To create the master data. Yeah? So that's where what this why MDM hub is what? One of the major factor is what? It is a flexible MDM tool, yeah, which can be or which is applicable for any architectural style. Yeah, fine. Now next thing is going to be what? We can start getting into what different factors which will be influenced in order to choose, like why we need a master data management tool. Yeah? So these are some of the factors which you could able to see over here. Yeah? For example, cost saving. There is a term that we use in the marketing, which is what? TCO, which means what? Total cost of ownership, which means what? And there is a one more, TBO, total benefit of ownership or whatever, right? We have what? Different terms that we use as part of cost. Yeah. If we what look at this this cost saving, because let us say when you build a model, right, or when you create a master data, right, or when you build MDM solution, right, when there is a one more merger happen, let's say with two mergers you have built a solution. If one more merger happen, there is no need to rebuild a solution. Instead, we can use what? Reuse the existing solution, which is going to save cost with respect to what? Project cost, labor cost or whatever, right, or budgeting, all that. So that is why we can save a lot of time. Not only that, let us say in ETL what happens is, as and when some data keep changes, then we keep getting into ETL transformations and start getting it modified. That's what we do. But here there is no need to do that, because for every domain we will be building a model, building a one-time solution. Thereafter We just need to what? Reuse it and start what I call getting it supported for any kind of domain. So that's where this particular cost saving part would come in. Plus we also have productivity improvement, which means what? Once you build a solution, right, next time when you get one more merger or one more merger happens, right, we don't need to do that, which results in what? Productivity improvement. So immediately we can build immediately in the sense at least with a short span of time we could able to build what solution with latest merger, which is not the case with what? Without using MDM. Yeah? So that's where productivity improvement would come in. Now the next is what? Increase revenue, because we have productivity improvement, saving cost. As a result, the revenue will be what? Higher than compared to what it could be without using what? MDM. Yeah? Plus remember compliance. Every country what? They'll have their own legal bindings or legal terms and conditions, right? So which means what? This particular plus we also have the data representation which differs from country to country. So how are we going to take care of such what country specific compliance activities? Yeah. So our regulated terms and conditions. So MDM hub or MDM is going to facilitate us on doing that. Plus we can also set future goals. For example, after 2-3 years what or where we are going to be. So such things or such kind of goals can be set by using what? MDM. That is why we use what? MDM tools. Mainly one, cost factor, second is what? Compliance factor, third is what? Goal setting. These are the major three factors why we need to choose MDM. Not only that, we can think of others like mergers, problems and all. We can quite easily solve by using this. Yeah. There is a question from Alphonse. So we need to have a lot of paperwork before building a model or feeding in MDM hub. Yeah. Answer is yes, because building this solution by using this MDM is not that straightforward, because we need to take care of compliance objectives, we need to take care of cost factors, we also need to take care of what goal settings. All of them need to be taken care of. So that's it. That's about like why we need this particular MDM. Yeah. Now let us start getting into the next step. Yeah. So let us start doing that. So now this server has come up. Let us bring up this. There's a problem today. Oh, this Java is gone, huh? Yeah. So let us start getting into this, which is going to be the console part. Yeah. So this JDK got corrupted. So I need to start making use of other version. Yeah. Fine. Let us log in now. Let us see. Yeah, so now we logged in here. Next step is what, so I was trying to talk about this data flow process, right? So let us go with step by step. Yeah. So the first step is going to be what, how to build a landing table, yeah, which is going to be the first and foremost thing. Yeah. So let us start creation of that. So we are dealing with a pharma, right? L&D pharma with, let us say, November. And as we discussed earlier, that every table should point to what data and index table spaces. Yeah? The secure resource is disabled here because entry point, right? If it is a target or in between, right? In between hub, right? Then this secure resource need to be enabled, because here we expect data from external systems. That's why we don't need to secure this particular landing table, and supply description like what this particular landing table does, and then say okay. Yeah, it did get created. So LND, then STG, then BO. Yeah, that's it. STG and BO. One of these are the three what major tables that we need to create. There are many different tables which anyway we are going to take a look at. Yeah, fine. So now let us start getting into adding our own columns, which is going to be what, user defined columns. Yeah? By default you will have what, system defined column, which is going to be what, last update date, which will be used to store most recent date for each record. Yeah? And then start adding columns. Yeah? So we can add any number of columns. Let's say we are dealing with what, pharma industry customer data, right? So let us start adding C1, C2, C3. Yeah. So this is what we need to do, and then say what, save. That's it. Yeah. So likewise we can add any number of what columns in this particular landing table. Yeah. Once we do that, next step is going to be what, who is going to populate data to this particular landing table. There is a dotted line with arrow from source to what, landing table. What does it mean? So we expect data from sources and start getting it populated onto the landing tables. To do that, here we take the help from what, third party tools, any tool like we discussed, right? ETL, ESBs, EIS or whatever. Yeah. And using that we can read it. That's a file and table example, or SAP with a table, or PeopleSoft with a table, or whatever. So now, so here ultimately when you try to load the data onto the landing, right, what happens? Either insert or update operation happens. That's what is ultimately what you call bottom line, right? So now let us try to add data to this particular landing table. Yeah. So which is what we are going to do within the vendor ORS, because we logged on to what, vendor operational reference store. Yeah. Let us do that. Vendor and then supply password, and then start inserting data to this. Yeah. What is the table name? So we need to take what, physical table name. Can you see here? This is a physical table, right? Let us insert data to that. This is a display name. So we need to use what, physical table. Insert into this. Yeah. And column names. Let us say last update date, C1, C2, C3. Yeah. And then values, you know, like a system date, then let's say 1, 2, 3 or whatever, right? So one row inserted. Similarly, we can insert what other rows. Let us try to use C1 column as a unique let us say 1 1, second row, and then third row also we can insert 1 1 1. This data could be anything, because C2 C3 could be even now. Duplicate data 1 1 1. That's a one more. Fourth record, right? So that's it. Oh, one. Okay, this is not comma, right? That's it. So then we can insert some duplicate data also, and then say what commit. So likewise we can insert what any number of records. Ultimately, when you run ETL job or ETL workflow, right? So we just issue what insert command in the backend. So now we can look at the number of records that we have within this table from this particular learning table. How many we have? 6 records. That's it. Now we know like how to populate data to this particular table, which is learning table. Any questions here? Likewise, we can create what any number of learning tables and start populating data to that particular learning table. So which is what we are trying to do. So let us try to what perform what based on this flow. What is the next step we need to do? We need to start creation of staging. Why? Because once you get data from sources, right, either from one source or 2 sources, whatever, right, we need to start applying what staging operations, because there could be some records where there is a junk character or junk characters or some unneeded data which is not expected. So how are we going to what take care of cleaning of such records? So to do that we use what data cleansing operations. There's a question from Ash. What is the order of creation of tables? First BO, landing, staging. That's what we do. Or landing, BO, staging. One of them. Let me put it here. First one flow is what BO, LND, staging. Second way is what LND, BO, and staging. That's it. One of this what flow we need to follow to create what tables. Basically we always go with what first one, because without model we don't go with what other helper tables like landing, staging, and so on. So that's what normally we do, but we can also go with this flow. For example, let us say we need to first get the data from sources, make the data is ready. After that we'll focus on, let us say, MDM. In such cases we first build a landing table, populate the data. After that go with what rest of the tables creations. Fine. This is a second way, but it won't make any difference whether we use what first or second. It would be same. Now once we do that, next step is what we know how to populate, right? Next step is what as per this we have just created this, we created this. We need to create what staging, which is going to be what we have done this, we have done this. So we need to create staging. We are following this flow 1 and 2, third one we need to create. So where do you do that? Remember, when you say staging, it will be what part of any base object table. That's what we are going to look at. So let us look at, let us say we are going to use customer base object table. Within that you can see what staging table section. Why we need to create staging tables within the base object table? Because if you look at this diagram, can you see here n number of staging tables data need to be sent to what? Base object table, which means what? The structure of base object table should be equal to or more or less equal to what? Staging table. So that anyway we need to maintain for each and what every source system. Remember, fine. Now, so for that we need to create what? Staging tables based on what? Base object table. So if you look at this two parts which we discussed here, right? Like first one is what? Base object table landing staging. So without BO we cannot create what? Staging. So both the flows, first there is a BO, after that only staging. Here also same thing, right? So now because of what? If you look at the flow, right? So we get the data from staging to what? BO, which is this. So that is why staging table should be part of base object table, so that we don't make any mistake with respect to structure, because staging table will be created based on the structure of what we have in the base object table. So we can't create our own columns. Let us do that. Add staging table here. Let's say STG what? Pharma 1, right? STG Pharma 1, let's say November, and remember here every staging table should point to what? Source system. Remember, because this is just a logical representation, right? This is going to help us in the future in the sense the downstream layers of data flow process, to keep track of like from which source system each record has come from. So we have a staging table, we have source system. So against with what source system you will have what? Every record. So that you can easily identify. For that reason we need to what? Assign any staging table to the actual source system data that we receive. So once we do that, select all columns. Can you see these columns are derived from where? Base object table. Select all columns or some of the columns. So it should be what? Staging table structure should be equal to or less than the number of columns of what we have in the base object table. That's it. So once we do that, and this table also should point to what? Data index table specific, which is common thing for any table that we create within the MDM hub. That's it. Fine. Now once we do that, say what? Okay, that's it. With this we know like how to create a staging table. There's a question here: how does source system values get populated? Source system values, we create a names here. For example, go over here, systems and trust, and create what? Logical names here. Can you see here S3 we already have it, so we can create S4 or whatever, and S5 whatever. So we can create n number of sources. This is just a logical name, nothing beyond that. And who is going to what you call populate data against with this particular source system with staging table? That is up to our mapping to decide. So from which source system we get the data, that we need to make sure before we populate data to this staging table. That we need to take care here. And then there's a question, one more question: what is a cell update? That I'll talk about it. That is required when we try to load the data from staging to BO. So just to answer a question, just to check and update, we use this. Check and update means what? Check each and every column data before we perform any update. So it's not that only one column data we need to check, that's a default. But if you enable this, each and every column data will be checked. If one of the column change happen, then the complete or that particular cell will get updated, or else no. By default it will be disabled. Plus I also have not talked of preserve source system keys also, because there are some dependencies which I need to talk. After that, if I talk about this, then we could able to understand that clearly. Yes? Fine. So that's it. So this is how we create what staging table from scratch. Once we are done with that, which means what, one staging table we have created. Yeah. Once we are done with that, next step is going to be what we need to start getting into, like whatever tables that are required, right? We have created that. Yeah. So like we talked about the number of tables that we create, right? We have done that, either this or this or this, whatever. We have done that. Next step is what? Operations. What are those? Yeah. So first and foremost operation is what here? Performing data cleansing operations. Yeah. So in order to perform that, we need to start building what? A mapping between what? Landing and staging. Yeah. So we'll do that after a short break. Fine. If you have any questions, you can ask.